A big hello to all my fellow Agorians and everybody else out there watching the stream. We have yet another conversation today with myself and David Hubert. This is a pretty, I think it's a notable one, but before I dig into it, I'm going to bring in David just so we can get his beautiful face on here. Hello, David.
Oh, hi, Brent.
Hi, surprise, surprise. Here I am.
It's been a while since I didn't do this fake surprise, so I felt that.
Yeah.
Since I missed yesterday Q&A, I felt it was appropriate to come back strong.
Yes. Yeah, it was actually, just to show you how out of the loop you are, it wasn't yesterday, it was actually Tuesday. But yes,
see,
thanks.
It's summer, kind of half vacation, but still working at the same time. I have no idea. When are we? It's Sunday, right?
Well, I don't know. It's a day. It's a day during the week. So we've had a lot of amazing people on this show, and we've had everywhere, anyone from like supervisors from DreamWorks. We've had people that are very prolific and generous with their time, putting all their stuff out there online. And we've actually had two people so far that actually are very prolific, and everyone seems to know them online. Well, actually, we've had more than that because there's a big handful. But I think two notable people would be Sir Wade and JD Haas. So it was only a matter of time before this wonderful individual has showed up on this show. So we've actually had her in the schedule for quite a while, and we've been anticipating this day for quite some time. So of course, this particular person is Mexican-born actress of 15 years. Ended up somehow finding herself lured in by this crazy world that we call animation, and she's I guess over the last several years found interesting ways of combining those two talents. And of course, I don't know where she finds the spare time like all these other people, but she also has a lot of content on YouTube. So everyone can give me a sec. Oh, you were going to say something. I kind of cut you off. Sorry about that. Go.
No, just I think she has a super interesting background. I'm definitely looking forward to this conversation. I just like the energy that she has in her on all the video that she does on YouTube as well. So, and as for Sir Wade, sorry, I think that's in the future.
You're right. We
still have to.
We haven't had a conversation with. You're right, but he has been on the stream a couple times. Yes. I think he's been on Anim Bingo with me, and I think we had him on something. I can't remember what it was, but
just can't get enough of Sir Wade.
Just can't get enough of Sir Wade. Yeah. Okay, so let everyone can welcome. Help me and welcome none other than Ilse Zamarripa. I think I said that right. She's going to give me the grade when she comes in.
Almost.
Yeah, I know. It's just I don't have the R. I'm not Latin. Come on.
No, it's the Ilse. Not Ilse.
Oh, did I do it again? Ilse. She even helped me.
You did it great.
See, David.
To French people, I tell them it's like il sait, like he knows, and that's it. And for people who speak English, I say, imagine an eel, and then what does the eel say? Il say, just like that. Pretty simple, straightforward.
I know the song. What does the fox say? I know that one. Yeah, it's a little bit like that. It's kind of the same thing. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You guys it's awesome to have you here.
Your introduction was super sweet. I appreciate all your nice words, and I love what you're doing with Agora. I think it's such a big project. When I was invited to join and to upload my videos and to form a part of it, I was shocked to discover this, because there's the studio, and there's also all these amazing things that you're doing for the community. So I appreciate it, and I think that's really, really kind of you.
Well, we appreciate you, and that's why you're here, because you've been doing this way before we did. There's people like you that trailblazed this, and we decided to come along and try to force multiply by putting all these amazing people kind of together in a way so that we can sort of, get people to discover all the amazing content that's out there, because not everyone knows where to look, so, but thank you. It's awesome to have you here, and great minds think alike, I guess, really, at the end of the day. I get awkward when there's praise that floats around. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to blush, and I'll let David do the talking for a while.
Yeah, you'll need to prepare some automated answers.
I do
for praise.
I know. I'm not good at it.
So Ilse, one thing for sure, each time we have those conversations, we try to have the first hour as, casual conversation. We have a few ideas of where the conversation can go, but then it's going to organically go in direction that we don't know. And then we try to keep the last half hour for question from the chat. And this first hour goes really fast. So let's just, we'll leave you 2 to 5 minutes just to do a little introduction of yourself for those that might not know who Ilse Zamarripa is.
I'm timing you.
Exactly.
No, you're gonna get the horn, okay? You're gonna get one of these.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So watch out.
So is it 1 minute 30 seconds? How much time?
I'm just kidding.
You have anywhere between 2 and 5 minutes.
Oh, that's a lot of time.
You're good.
All my life. No. Well, I am an actress. I've been an actress, like they were saying, for 16 years now. I started acting from a very young age. I loved it. I never quit school because I also loved learning, and that was like the only condition my family gave me. You need to be a straight A student if you want to do this other side gig, like a hobby. And so I started pursuing acting, and I did movies, I did soap operas, a lot of short films, commercials, acting, and TV shows, everything you can possibly do. It was so much fun. And later I decided that yes, I loved acting, but a big part of my heart wanted to pursue something a little bit more technical, a little bit more challenging. Acting is very challenging, but in another kind of technical way. And the only thing I knew was I loved art in general. I loved singing, I loved dancing, I loved sculpture, I loved everything that had to do with it. So then I decided, I saw somebody sculpting in ZBrush, and I was like, oh my God, what is that? I need to be able to do that. And that was kind of like the point where I chose that line.
That was the spark.
There was a huge spark. And so I started going to university and studying animation, all the, branches of animation that include texturing, modeling as a whole career. And I pursued it here in Mexico. I studied at Tec de Monterrey, maybe some people know it. And then I won an internship. I was like the only chosen to go to France. And I continued my studies there in a school called Supanfocom, Robica. And it was so much fun. Like, wow, the things I learned there were amazing. And I ended up working with Gobelin as well. And I did a short film there. And then I was invited by Pixar to Annecy. And
the ostrich one, right? That's the short film.
Yeah, Ostrich Politic. Did you see it? It's
wow. It's awesome.
Yeah, shout out to the director. And then I then became a judge lead for different contests around the world. I started working as well. I got gigs in France, also in Spain, back in Canada, then in Mexico, United States. So it's been a crazy ride, and yeah, it's like here and there. And I miss acting. Somehow I haven't acted much because of all the things that have been happening at the same time. But I am pretty blessed about having this and being in this position. And yeah, I just love what I do, and I kind of want to keep pushing it.
I'm pretty sure that your background in acting kind of had an impact on your animation, right? Because that's
my decision, right? Yeah,
because that's something, coming from completely the other side with no acting background at all. I don't know about you, Brent, but working on those first animated feature, when I kind of learned of, actually filming references helping, and then you start to film your own reference and you feel super awkward, and then you film with others and all that. I imagine that for you, this part was totally natural. So how do you feel that it kind of influenced your own animation skills or workflow or whatnot?
Well, being a good actress makes everybody believe that I'm an animator. So, so I think that's good. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, totally. I think if you want to be a good character animator, you gotta learn acting.
Yeah, I agree.
It's basically, it goes hand in hand. And I know that all my animator friends, even if some of them are shy and some of them are a little bit more, to themselves, they deep down, they love acting, because that's what we do. We make a character act and interpret something, and it's part of the fun. And that's one reason that I decided to go to animation. I was like, may as well use all these years of like career,
leverage it, squeeze as much blood out of that stone as possible.
I was also interested in other branches. I really loved modeling. I really liked texturing. I loved plenty of things, but I decided later, I remember I saw the animators and I was like, these guys are insane. Like being able to do a little bit of everything. The animators just were like gods to me. I thought I would never be able to do that. I seriously stood back and I was like, I am never going to do something like that. That's insane. These people are crazy. And then one day I was like, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I want to do. Yeah. And combined with the acting, I think it was a great choice. Complicated, but very fun.
Your workflow then, do you heavily use your own reference then for your workflow? Like, is that your sort of secret sauce so you can leverage your acting sort of skills and experience by getting a good reference and then kind of working off of it?
I hope so. I get a lot of feedback, positive feedback on my references usually. More when it comes to acting. I really like developing characters. When a character has a very strong personality and you get to be in the beginning of a show where everybody's planning it out and coming up with ideas. I love it. That's like so much fun. And I am passionate about it. So that and also I think the people skills that acting has given me, the ability to go there and just talk to people and don't be shy about it or pretend not to be.
Yeah. Wear a good mask at least, right?
Yeah, wear a good mask. I think that's important. And that's something I would recommend everybody out there. Just take some acting lessons and your life will change a lot.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, that's definitely for those that do not have this acting background or shy introverts or just not interested to put themselves in a position. It's still a very good and valuable exercise just to get out of your comfort zone, which is 100%. Something in general that is good. But force yourself to do it if it really doesn't work. I mean, even when on some animated feature that I worked on, there's some really good animators, but they were just too shy or introverts, so they had other people film reference for them, and their animation were still amazing, although I don't know if they felt that they 100% owned the performance because they were it was actually coming from others. But is that something that you ever had to have been requested for to shoot reference for other animators than yourself?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And the funniest thing is sometimes the character is not even a lady, It can be an ogre or something, and they're like, Ilse, come, help me.
You're the actress. Come on, you can do it.
It's really fun. And vice versa. I'm also like, hey, just help me. I cannot figure this out. I think that's a good thing about being in a workplace. I actually miss it. I miss working in a, side by side with your peers. I think you learn so much more.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the electric, like not being around the energy I find difficult, like there's only so much you can pick up. Like, I mean, these conversations are fun, but it's like, it's still like, wouldn't it be cool if we were all sitting on a patio having this conversation? Yeah, of course. Like it's just something, like it just doesn't quite, it's not the same. I mean, we're social animals, right? Like at the end of the day, we are meant to be among others. And this is great. And it's nice in a pinch, like we've all been in for the last several months, but it's just not the same. I totally agree.
Yeah. And one thing that I really miss is that you're animating, right? You're at your desk and you're animating, and you're like, something doesn't look quite right. And you turn and you're like, hey, what do you think? And then this brainstorm starts, and you have all your friends just gathering and seeing your shot, and they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, that doesn't look right. That looks amazing. This.
Yeah.
And or just like having, I have one of my best friends who was my supervisor. He was sitting next to me, Harry, and I would peek at his work and I would be like, whoa, how did you do that? And he'd be like, oh, let me teach you. And he'd go all cool because he's super technical. And I feel like, wow. So the amount of things you can learn by just peeking at other people's workflow, I think, is missing. It's lacking a little bit. Yeah.
That's been a recurring theme for sure in the discussion that we had in the last few weeks, in the Q&A that we do on a weekly basis, because there's this big question of, okay, when things come back to normal, how is it going to be? Because there's some people that never want to go back to the studio ever again, others that never want to be working from home ever again, but the vast majority are like, yeah, I kind of want to have both. I want flexibility, because even you right now are back in Mexico, close to your family, working in remote, which is maybe an opportunity that you wouldn't have had if it was not for this situation that we're all working remotely. But it's really to find this balance, because as you said, there's those, it's great working from home when you want to just concentrate and have no distraction and do your thing. And obviously there's no commuting, but at the same time, those impromptu discussion, those little brainstorm, basically what you provide is, you can do it in remote. There's the tools to do it, but no one does it because, there's too much friction to create this kind of, or at least no one, I feel, figured out completely. So
and I also think it depends on your personality. I'm a very outgoing people kind of person, so not being around people actually like lessens my energy instead of helping me. So I kind of miss it. I love the commodities that come with working at home, just like being able to manage your time. I'm in a studio that's amazing and super flexible. So I can start work really early and work really early as well. It's that kind of freedom that I think was missing from a studio. So maybe if we could kind of like combine the best of both worlds, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, at least it's been proven that it can be done, right? So now it's up to the studios and like all the people that run them to kind of come up with that sort of. And I think what you're going to see for a while is you're going to see a little bit of, interesting competition in that particular market. I think you're going to see some studios are going to pretend like nothing ever happened. They're going to just try to go back to usual sort of business as usual. And there's going to be other studios going to be like, no. We're going to go right ahead and we're going to provide flexibility because we now prove that we can. And we feel like we're going to be more competitive in the marketplace, and more people are going to like, it doesn't always come down to money, right? It comes down to the environment. It comes down to the flexibility and all these other things. They're in some cases much more valuable to certain people than a salary. So I think that what you're going to see is that's going to be a whole new dimension to studio selection, and we'll see some dinosaurs go extinct. I think it's what we're going to see. Honestly, I honestly like that's what's going to happen.
I was reading this morning that a lot of big companies are actually like, there was an estimate of millions of meters that are going to be taken away from offices that were huge in this huge buildings, and everything is going to disappear because a lot of companies have realized that it's way cheaper to have people working at home. So we're going to see, I think also, I am no one to say this, but I think parenthood, like for people who have young kids at home, it must be amazing to be able to share all that time with them. Because that's not always the case in different scenarios.
Normally not the case. Funny story, I actually, 1 year before the pandemic, I actually took steps to actually find a job that I could work from home. And I was a special little snowflake for about a year, and then the friggin' pandemic ruined that for me. And now I'm just like everybody else. I totally felt special, but whatever. I was here first, everybody. So take a number. But it was exactly for that reason, because I have, she's turning 6 tomorrow, actually. She's getting big. So that was my primary reason, is because it was just difficult. Like I wasn't seeing a lot of her at all. I'd see her when I drove her into daycare, and then like not a lot other than that. So it was nice. Suddenly now I was picking her up. I was dropping her off and picking her up. It was amazing. Like I saw a lot more of her.
Hey, may I ask you something? How do you manage it with your wife, if I may ask, or with your couple? How do you interact with the kid? And does one work? Do you both work? Do you both take care of her? How do you do it? I
Oh,
think
that's going to be interesting because mine are 10 and 12 now, which is very different than being a 6 because they're almost small, autonomous, super small
they're sort of
adults.
independent, or at least they want to be at that age.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say for us, and we're both working, from home remotely as well. So yeah, it's the biggest trap is since you're working from home, there's no more physical difference between home and work. So those that would have tendency to be workaholic, it would be very tempting to just put the kids on the iPad and continue to work for super long. So I would say for us it was just we have very I don't want to say rigid because we don't feel it's rigid, but we have a routine. We start exactly at the same time. We stop at the same time. I go prepare dinner as she continues to work. We have dinner around 7. They're going to go at bed at 9. So at 9, we often go back to work maybe from 9, 10, 11 maximum. And then, so it's just to have a routine, a schedule that's going to work out, that you kind of figure out, okay, what would be the best schedule? Okay, let's do that and stick to it.
Yeah, mine's a little bit different with a slightly younger small human in my house, and David has not. He's taken many opportunities to rub it in a little bit. I remember this one time where I was like explaining, like, look, dude, I don't know if I can make the meeting because of this. It was something random, and he'd be like, well, why? And I was like, well, because Christine, she's busy, so I gotta watch Sequoia. And he's like, oh, that's right, she's like only 5. Oh yeah, my daughter's on the couch right now doing her homework on the iPad, and I'm like, I hate you. I honestly, like, I hate you. Wow. Yeah, the tricky part was during the beginning of the pandemic because we both work production jobs often, myself and Christine, and so that was hard. That was really hard because it was like that was a sort of a juggling match because the schools were closed and we were both trying to work, and it was enough to drive you crazy. And I ended up actually getting like a weird night shift. Like I'm like a super crazy night owl. I'm trying to finally claw myself back. I was just talking about this with David before you got on the call, but it was the only way I could survive. And so now we're kind of trying to regulate it again now that like things are a bit more normal. Yeah, it's a juggle, but it's all worth it in the end, as far as I'm concerned.
But what you mentioned is about the studios that just realized that it's actually very interesting financially to have a lot of people working from home. Most studios, and actually we had Jalil from Steamroller a few weeks ago, and it's the same thing. Every studio are doing those survey, and they realize that okay, we might have 200 employees, but we actually just need 120 seats. So the two, and honestly, there are some studios that I heard that were talking about renting less space. But what I've heard the most is finding like roommates, like other smaller studio that would come and take the space. And that's very interesting because, I mean, for them, they can split the cost, but you can feel this kind of little ecosystem that you can have with 2, 3, 4 little studio that kind of in the same space. And others will just like, money is not a problem. We're going to do something for the employees instead. We're going to have way more social space. So spaces in the studio that are not just filled with computers and offices, but, more ping pong table and just open space, and just to be able to make something that feels more, that's going to encourage the social aspect, especially if people are coming a little bit less often at work. Let's encourage those interaction between employees where the magic often happen. So
that's cool.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, no, it's going to evolve in very interesting direction. That's for sure. There's definitely something I wanted to ask you about, and it's about your YouTube channel.
No,
that's something we've again, that's another recurring theme because we have some very special guests that I think one of the things that is a link between all of them is that they didn't just had an idea, but it actually took the time to execute, and they had the motivation, the resilience, the grit to not only do something about it, but persevere over time. So on your side, what was the main motivation to start the YouTube channel and to continue week after week to release those videos?
Well, I was recently talking to Brett Schroeder, a great friend of mine who was also my supervisor. And I told him, you gave me a little bit of that inspiration to start my channel, because while I was animating, I felt this acting part of me, like communication was lacking. And I always wanted to do something else, something aside to just like make it my hobby, sort of. And I had this like in my mind all the time. And once, I think it was like over a beer, that he told me, you know what? Whatever people achieve in their 20s is like what defines them. And that kind of sunk in. And I was like, okay, I'm 20. I'm a little bit older than that. So what can I do about it? He kind of like gave me that spark. And I was like, yeah, why am I not pursuing it if I want to do it? And next day I bought a camera, and the rest is history. And yeah, I also need to have a very tight schedule and stick to it, even when I don't want to stick to it, even when I'm lazy or I'm feeling sick or things like that. One thing that actually helped me wrap my mind around it better was that at the beginning, for the first 7 months of my channel, I was the one doing everything, all the editing, of course, all the writing and everything else. And then I decided to hire an editor who is amazing. Joan, it helps me so much. And I know that since he's getting a paycheck from that YouTube channel, it's like, it's not only a pleasure, it's a responsibility, you know? And that has given me a little bit more encouragement to build this as highly as I can. And later, I would really like to hire more people and make it, I don't know, maybe probably a school and give a little bit more to the community as well. And that is something that helps me, as well as, yeah, like you were saying, my schedule is my life. I try to be very organized. I try to wake up really early, and always on Thursdays, Fridays, I need to write my script. And then on Sundays, because I really like to write it down. And then on Sundays, I would send it to Joan and, well, record it in the very, very morning, 6 a.m.-ish, and send it to him so he can start editing. And yeah, it becomes a little bit exhausting sometimes. Oh, your channel is fantastic. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it. Yeah, it takes a lot of effort. So I really appreciate all the people who always like take the time to write me a little message like, yo, you changed the way my career was structured, or you really changed my life in this and this sort of way. I think that's what keeps me going. I'm not right now, I have monetization turned off in YouTube. It's like, I am doing this out of passion. I really want to help people. So
if you turn monetization off, how does it provide a check for the editor? Is it from like sponsorships and stuff?
It's just like, basically, it's sometimes there's a sponsorship.
Yeah.
I try to keep it very clean. Right now, I was doing like a collaboration with Wacom. Go to my Instagram channel if you want to get 2 Wacoms, because this is the last day of that giveaway. It's at Ilse Sama. So my name until the A, Ilse Sama. And I was doing a collaboration with Wacom because Wacom, come on, I use Wacom every single day.
Makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. With Ana Luisa, with the jewelry, I did a collaboration as well. But I don't do so much. I try to keep it very clean, very honest. Like, my message is my message. And it comes from my paycheck, not usually. So whatever I earn, I kind of like get as many sources of income as I can. I'm trying to work diligently on building them, and that's a way in which I can afford my editor perfectly fine. I appreciate it. Thank you. Go there and you can participate on the Wacom giveaway. Today's the last day.
I would say having a routine is making all the difference. There's often people that ask me, because there's the Agora Studio and Agora.Community, and you are doing those streams and this and that, and you have a family, and how. Yeah. And the easy answer when they ask, how do you manage all this? I say, it's many things, but having a super strict routine of wake up at this time, start this. again, you basically figure out what would be the most optimized way from beginning to end on every day, and then leaving the weekend completely, random off. Nothing is scheduled on weekend. But I agree with you that waking up early and having your day plan ahead of time, and you don't even ask yourself, I'm writing the script Thursday morning, whatever happens. And if Thursday morning I wake up and I have no idea what I'm going to write about, it doesn't matter. I'm going to write the script. It might not be the best one. It's going to be something.
Yeah, exactly. And take your time, as you were saying, to organize really well. I have a video on how I do a little bit of my planning for the week. And one thing that helps me so much is that when I go to bed, I write whatever I want to achieve in the next day. So it's like 3 bullet points, 4 bullet points of things out of my job that I want to do. And trying to stick as perfectly as I can, and also giving myself permission to 1 or 2 days maybe delay those things that I need to do. But I think that really helps me to stay like really focused. And I like sleeping, also like knowing your body, because I know people who are not early birds. I'm like a super early bird, so it's okay.
Weirdo.
I have I got distracted with it. Ilse has a tip for almost anything professional. Thank you. Yeah. And so I try to wake up at 5 a.m. That's something I was talking in a live stream a couple of days back. Wake up at 5 and sleep at 9. So I prioritize my 8 hours of sleep, because if not, I'm like a zombie. I don't work well. And that helps me stay happy, motivated, exercise. I think that's really important, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. When you start to dig a little bit, it's always the same thing: your routine, exercise, and sometimes, just keep things organized and do the thing that will give you the energy for the rest of the day. And then after that, it's just a matter of executing. I'm curious to know if there was a strategy at first with the content, because. And tell me if I'm wrong, but I kind of felt that in the beginning, the content was, there was a lot. It started with, career stuff, how to get a job, how to stop procrastinate. Then started to have some interviews with Jean Denis, with Rodolphe, David Hahn. Then there was a little bit more the artistic animation side, how to animate hands, constraint birds, and all that. And then it kind of came back a little bit more with the career. So, LinkedIn strategy, payment for freelancers, and all that. So how was there a strategy? How did it evolve, and where do you see it evolved moving forward?
So that's a very interesting question. You have actually studied. I love that. So I have a Patreon account where people follow me, and we do like these meetings every single month, and I am constantly talking to them, and I'm like, guys, what do you want to see? What is interesting to you? Because you are my public, you're the ones that are consuming my content. So what am I supposed to create in order to satisfy your needs and to kind of like give an insight on how it's like here in the industry? And they give me very insightful little comments that help me plan out my schedules for the next months, as well as anything that I kind of want to do. For example, some videos that are going to be, and that is one of my patrons. He's amazing. And
who, Ender?
Yeah, he's super supportive. Yeah, he's so much love. And so one thing that I do is try to, in a sheets document, I just keep my whatever I want to do. And sometimes I would get like this spark of, I want to do something different, something new. Right now I'm working on a color palette challenge. So you're going to see colors in your screen, and you're going to have to guess between 3 movies, A, B, or C. Is it Pan's Labyrinth, or is it, I don't know, Pinocchio? And it's so cool. I love it, because I don't even know what the color palette's going to be. So I'm like, is it this or that? And I think that's interesting for a lot of artists. And yeah, I try to diversify and not keeping only animation, but also I talk about compositing, for example, tips and tricks for a great compositing demo reel, and as much as I can, as much as time lets me.
Yeah, I would say for me, it's one of the things that the diversity in that YouTube channel is very interesting for sure. There's definitely a few there's something I'd like to to do, because there's some videos. Then I've watched a couple, not all of them, but there's many of them that are like, okay, this is very interesting topics, because they kind of touch a little bit on some of the discussions and the question that we had over time. So if you don't mind, I'd like to do a little something, some of those videos that you did in the past, and just have, again, a very quick overview of those insights that were in those videos. So there's something that we've been discussing with Manny, the CEO of CGMA. I think that was a month ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Manny Fragolis.
The third act.
Yes, exactly. And we're talking about, now we get in a day and age with freelancing and all that animators are starting to kind of brand themselves a little bit. You want to be known. It's not just, you're not just a number something sending your show reel. No, you want to advertise yourself, you want to brand yourself, get known, and have those opportunities coming from you. So you had one video that was about how to start networking like a pro, 5 strategies. Yeah. So I would say out of this one, what would you say on top of your mind, some tips for people that would like to say, yes, I want to start to be known?
Wow, tips. Okay.
There.
My best tip ever is create a LinkedIn account. I think artists are like hesitant to LinkedIn because it sounds like a very businessy kind of idea.
Mm-hmm.
And on the contrary, all recruiters are there, a lot of the industry speaking there, as well as Twitter and other things. That is a professional platform that you can exploit so much. If you go to my website, theworldspace.net, I have a LinkedIn course that I recently put together where I speak about, developing your career, building your online persona. How does that look? Tips for people who are not extroverted and are like kind of afraid to go to recruiters and be like, give me a job, please, and how to do that, how to grow your network and your name in your industry and make that reach organic. Because a lot of people think that you have to pay for LinkedIn Premium or to, search in all these sites or have a great art station. And yes, but no. I teach you exactly the way to become known in social media, and particularly exactly in LinkedIn, and I also have like a little program there where I guide you step by step so you can in 4 weeks go viral in LinkedIn. So yeah, it's like something I'm passionate about now because it grew my career exponentially. And people
LinkedIn
don't realize that I think so. I think a lot of my connections, a lot of my job offers come from people who saw my content there. And if you know what to post, when to post, and all those little marketing strategies, you can really boost your reach organically. So a lot of people can see your content, and we live in an era where that's possible, When I speak to the Pixar veterans, they always tell me I had to go with a VHS tape and just knock doors and be like,
in my day.
This is Brent.
That's me. Yeah, that's me.
Brent.
Thanks for that. Yeah. Thanks for that nice that very nostalgic memory of where, walking around with no shoes because we didn't invent shoes back then. And it was difficult. And then, we spoke of the dinosaurs that are going to go extinct. Yeah, those dinosaurs are my friends. So
I used VHS. If that's good.
What?
Not for my demo reel, but I used to have VHS. Yes.
That was your first camera that you bought?
No.
Like a VHS camera?
All my movies were VHS tapes this big. Yeah. I used to always watch those.
Well, it's funny you're talking about LinkedIn because it's literally how I discovered you in the first place. Someone that sent me. You posted an animation that went viral. I don't know to what extent, but enough that at least 2 of my friends sent me, hey, you should check this out. And we were looking for freelancers at that time. Animators like, oh my God. And that's, and eventually I found the YouTube channel much later and was like, okay, one day we're going to have a stream like this. So that's, I actually might go and watch your website because there's definitely good strategy on LinkedIn that I should look for.
Answering your question, I think LinkedIn is crucial. It's a must. If you master LinkedIn, you It's like the power of Thanos, you know? It's like all the little gems. You have the power. Also, for networking, yeah, be open. Right now, we don't have conventions, which are so much fun. I spoke at SIGGRAPH last year, and wow, it was so cool. Going to Annecy and showing your work, and just meeting new people and strategizing and talking to others and building a network like that is really fun. But if you can do it online at the comfort of your house, that's also really cool. And understanding what you want to bring with your art. So I think a lot of people are lacking that extra little punch. You know, I see a lot of animation, a lot of modeling, a lot of rigging that comes from the same, this is my work kind of vibe, instead of this is who I am as a person, and I am trying to show you what I think and how I see my world, my life, everything around me. This is my kind of humor. I think that's lacking. Just show me your country, show me your country's humor, show me things that surround you, instead of that, same video game kind of box when you're modeling, or that same rig of a biped, or try to get a little bit deeper into what your online persona is. That's what I call it. It's more your personality behind your art, and I think that's what makes art unique and interesting, to get the little extra punch of, oh my god, that's such an interesting point of view. And
well, it's a brand after all, right? Like a brand,
exactly.
like brands do need to be unique in some way, and you have to know your brand's DNA well enough so that you can boil that down to its like the most core and simple message, so people get it right away. And so know yourself, which in yourself is your brand, and sort of like not what you do, it's the part of you put into your work. That's the brand, right?
And know your audience as well, right? I see some animators, for example, that have a very mature sense of humor, like a very mature in the little bit rude kind of way. So if you have it, exploit it. Do that. Do whatever makes you different. If you have a peculiar way of looking at life, use it. Make it so others can follow you because of that. Why are people interested in my content? Who is watching my channel? For example, my channel is mostly guys, like 80% guys, because the industry is mostly male.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, and YouTube is mostly male as well. It's like 70%, I think. So makes perfect sense. As well as they are youngish. They are from like 18 to 28-ish, 30-ish. So I craft content for that kind of,
because that's your main mark. How did you get that? How did you get the statistics? Just out of curiosity, is it YouTube? So the YouTube
really
analytics told you essentially who was looking at your stuff,
and it tells me as well. People from Mexico, from the US, and from India are the ones who consume my content more.
I find that India is a country that consumes a lot of this content. It's animation, especially, is a very, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of Indians that really, really like the idea of getting a job in animation. It's a very hot topic over there, and so it's overwhelming. Like we see the same thing with Agora. We see a lot of that. A lot of people hitting our site from India. So it's really it's amazing to see. Yeah. And I think it's only a matter of time before that whole country just explodes with a big industry, I think, because they've been building it up for a while.
Yeah, and I encourage them to work for other countries as well, because they may be in my situation where I was telling them like that here in Mexico there's not a lot of industry. So if you want to build your career, maybe go back to India later, or in my case Mexico later. But if you want to like start and go really high in your career, it's always better to go to a country that has a lot of studios, or try to go to a very big studio rather than staying here and getting not a big paycheck, a little more job insecurity. You have all these factors with countries that are not huge in the industry. And I know, for example, India, the studios pay really bad to artists. So I encourage them to, how can I help? How can I help you get all the tools you need to try to travel and know more. And then if you want to go to your country and do something huge and build an empire in your country and help others, that's amazing. But that's kind of the stairway to success.
Yeah, and that's a good advice for the career, but it's a good life experience as well. When you kind of unroot yourself from wherever you come from and you go somewhere else and you go to the grocery and you're like, okay, where is the stuff I'm used to eat? Because I don't understand what I'm seeing here. It's just a good life experience as well. Okay, I have another one for you. We've been obviously in a time that everyone is working from home. In a little bit, like we talked about the schedule and how do you deal with the kids and the work and the boundaries and all that. You had, I don't know if it's among your first video, and you were talking about how to kill procrastination. And it feels that when you're working at home, I mean, the couch, the TV, the refrigerator, all of this stuff is, literally 10 steps away. So exactly. So some insights about how to kill procrastination.
I think one of the best tips I can give is make that little list of things you want to achieve the next day. And do the hardest one, the one you don't want to do it first. Because that's the one that you're going to keep procrastinating over and over and more time. There's a really good book that's called the 2-Minute Rule that says that if you do something, if you have something in your mind and you say, okay, it would take me around 2-3 minutes, do it right away. Don't postpone it. Go ahead and get the task done, because that will liberate a lot of mental anxiety and stress. Because sometimes we just postpone the most ridiculous things, like 10-minute tasks, and we keep delaying them weeks and weeks just because we don't want to do them because we're lazy. And do things without motivation. Don't expect motivation to hit you. Be disciplined.
Inspiration, motivation have a very quick expiration date. I mean, when you're inspired, you feel that you're going to be inspired for the rest of your life. That ideas are going to flow, and then half an hour after you forget your idea, I'm like, oh shit, where is it? And then it might take another 2 weeks before you have another.
You were inspired all the way up until the point where you passed the refrigerator, and then realized that you were actually hungry for a snack, and then. You kind of realize, what was I inspired by? I don't know. This chocolate bar is amazing. It's amazing. Yeah.
Totally. And I think another one is like giving yourself breaks and allowing yourself to be happy as well. This week, for example, I am a terrible example of the things that I'm telling you, because I am the hardest working person. I'm crazy. And that is not good for my health. That's not good for my eyes, for my back, for my wrists, for my mental health, One thing that I love doing is finishing work at 5 and just going outside and skating. I'm learning to skate, and that is so much fun. And if I can be around people, as I told you, I'm a very sociable being. So I love being with other people. That kind of like rejuvenates me, gets me in the mood of being happy and energized. So I think that's important. Find the things that really make you go, this is cool, instead of just, I have to be productive 24/7, because then you will have a nice balance in your life. Also, I have an app that I love, and it's called Stay Focused on my phone. Am I saying focused right?
Yep.
Judge my accent.
Say
focused.
Again. Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So stay focused, and if you download that app, you can set timers for your apps. So I have a timer where I can use Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok that I almost don't use it much. And those 3 I can only use for half an hour every day. If I go past, there's
You're
a
rationing yourself.
That pops up and tells me like, yo, stop it there.
Yeah. I think iPhone, they built something like that in now. It's called screen time. You can build it in. Like you can give yourself kind of quotas, I think, in iPhone, in like the iOS.
Wow, that's cool.
So you're an Android user, I guess, yeah?
Yeah.
You gave it away. You gave yourself away. It's okay. I still like you. It's fine.
Yeah. Any apps, any like cool things for restricting yourself. Mostly because these things are built to keep you engaged.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
You make your own little prison by liking everything and following content that you actually are super inspired by or very entertained by, or things that you love reading. So we are, digging our own graves and putting ourselves in there and just dirting it up. So yeah, at least I know that if I am left with social media, I'm like for hours. That is an important
I don't know
one.
what you're
And
talking
also
about.
like getting my phone off my face, just there
Yeah.
while I'm working or anything. So because you see the screen and you're like, black and
The little
shiny,
buzzing word on the.
right, and you don't even
Oh, yeah,
realize you're
totally.
grabbing your phone.
Something's happening.
Subconscious, yeah. So I use that. That's
Uh,
also a very important one.
So, Ilse, talking about being social, other question that we had in the past was about the workspace, how to behave with others, the culture at studio. You had a video about speaking your mind in a professional environment, and as you said, being an actor kind of develops some natural social skills. Any insights on this one?
On that video, I mentioned a little story. So I was learning animation. I was in this intensive program of animation. And one time we were all doing as a classroom the same bouncing balls. And so I showed my animation, and we usually showed it to the same person, the same critique who was our, say, quote unquote, animation director at that time, like our soup. And then one day, another person came to review our work. But the teacher that we had before told us specifically, that bounce needs to go this high. Like the ball needs to be this amount of meters high. And the man who came was an expert in VFX. And and he saw the balls and he was like, he was reviewing our work. So first student, he said, that ball is too bouncy, make it bounce less. Next student, that ball is too bouncy, make it bounce less. Same note for everybody, because we all had the same note before. So Ilse, with her big mouth, just raised her hand and said, Mister, I am sorry, but this is going to be a repetitive note because our animation supervisor asked us to make it that high. Super respectful. Wow. Like the response I got was like, wow. He told me, okay, first of all, today I am behaving like your VFX soup. So shut up, learn your place.
Wow.
And I don't care about what your animation soup had to say. And I was like, oh my God, you want to cry and you're like, but yeah. And that taught me.
This person sounds like a really nice person. I really want to meet this
person. He's amazing. Right now we're great friends. And I think he gave me a huge lesson about how to behave in a work environment. Because it's also when you're acting, I remember I used to be a child actor and I wanted to come up with all these cool ideas that sometimes were actually good ideas. But some directors take it really well and they are like one-to-one with their actors and they're like, what do you think? And I'm like, okay, I think that if I do this, maybe, and you can have a chat. But that's not always the case. Sometimes you just have to shut your mouth, behave, and know the hierarchy.
Yeah.
And that is something that if you understand in a wise way, you can take advantage of, because you can be in a big place in the hierarchy. And if everybody respects that, that's amazing. And the workflow becomes so much easier and so much better. I remember that when I was in France, we had a project that was very important. And we were 4 girls. And it was a very important animation project. We had to make a short film. And we couldn't decide, because if one of them wanted the dress to be purple and the other one wanted it to be brown, who was right? Who got the last word? It's impossible to tell, because if you all have the same level of importance in the hierarchy, then who can pick, So I think that's one of the best advice I can give. If you're going into a studio, understand who gives you orders directly. Sometimes those orders may contradict, because that happens all the time.
May
and you need to may and will contradict. And
Yeah.
you need to understand who is the boss of your boss and who gives you direct orders and who is giving you advice, but which one you should take. It's a
Yeah.
little bit tricky. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's also another side that, whatever your position as a director or supervisor, you also need to keep your ego in check. And I think that this is maybe something that this gentleman had a hard time to do at that specific time.
I think that's why I reacted the way I did, because I was sort of like, I could never imagine sort of.
But I think if we extrapolate, because there's something to be learned from every situation, even if the way that you describe this story, I'm like, okay, someone needs to keep his ego in check. I think there's still a way to kind of say the same information. Just ask yourself, am I making that person look bad in front of everyone? Because if it's the case and that person has a big ego and is susceptible and kind of can take it, the same message could be just communicated a different way. That's going to, could you, like, for instance, could you explain, because our previous our other lead just mentioned that it should be higher, but now we understand that it should be lower. Can you just explain why this is better?
Yeah.
So
and actually, in that YouTube video, I explained later that after that experience, I was in a studio, and there was a sequence where the camera continuity was off for me. Everybody seemed to be fine with it, but for me, there was like a jump between continuity and didn't seem right at all. The camera placing was off, and we're talking about VFX. So you have a plate, and I was really hesitant on bringing it up. Just I kept it in the back of my mind. But
because of the incident. So back in school,
in general, maybe. And so I went to my supervisor, and I told him, hey, there is this thing that I cannot get out of my mind. Can I tell you? Is it okay if I suggest something? First, I think that's a great strategy. Come in with a humble opinion. Ask if your opinion is going to be received well, because if somebody's super stressed out, they're not going to take it well. So first step, I think that was a good step. And he was like, okay, sure. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. And I told him, I think that this shot, it was not even my shot. Like, I was totally nosy. I think this shot could look way better if we tilted the camera angle this way. And he saw it. He saw it again. He was like, actually, you're right. And he spoke to the VFX supervisor, and I think maybe they spoke to the director. And in the movie, it's changed.
Nice.
Awesome.
As a junior.
Nice job, Spielberg. Just kidding.
Yeah. I'm kidding. It was an Amblin film, actually. So Steven Spielberg was kind of
interesting. That's funny. Then I kind of hit the nail right on the head. I was just going to say really quickly, like, so even though I might be struggling with maybe the way that person sort of reacted, at the same time, they kind of did do you a favor, because at the end of the day, like what David's indicating, the end of the day, that is the reality for some people. One thing that people have to understand, that being a supervisor is, it's a lot like just being shot at all day from all different directions, and it's not a freaking walk in the park. And so sometimes it may not even be ego. Sometimes it's like, we talk about the imposter syndrome. We talk about insecurity on this channel all the time. And it's difficult being in a position where you're supposed to know the answers, and not everyone is confident enough or even has the emotional energy enough to be able to like take some young sort of junior with that just pipes up in front of everybody and sort of like kind of just almost might seem confrontational, and they might have a hard time turning the other cheek. They might be, but I think that the second example you had there, I think the big difference was you did it on your own. It's like you didn't put them on the spot for everybody else, and you, like you said, you disarmed them with like, look, it's none of my friggin' business, first of all, but I had this random idea, and it's probably stupid, but like, here's this thing, just tell me I'm dumb. And then they look at it and you're like, I don't think you're dumb. I don't think you're dumb at all. Like, it's like right off the bat, it's like, now I think your acting skills for sure came into play there because you probably know how to read a room a bit better than other people. And you probably knew how to, how to approach the scene in a way, you know what I mean? Like you could actually kind of think it through a little bit, but that's for me, like, I mean, being in the shoes of the supervisor many times in the past and actually being exactly in that, also teaching's hard when you're like, you have that one wise guy in the back or like, somebody in the front who's a brown noser. And he's like, actually, Brent, I happen to know that you're wrong and you're teaching the class completely incorrectly. And it's just like, okay, all right. Are we doing this right now? Are we doing it? All right, bring it on. Let's go. Challenge. And then we have like, it's hard to not just take that personally, but some people will, some people won't.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it boils down to knowing your audience, like your soup in this case, understanding that it's always better to take someone aside and give them that advice. That's something I said as well. Yeah. And come in with a humble opinion. And one thing that I love, and it's not very common, is to see people who come up with a problem but give you a solution right in the same sentence, right? So it's like, or same paragraph. It's like, hey, I saw this, but I have this way to solve it. Take it. What do you think? Do you think it would be a good strategy? Not only like going in there and throwing trouble, because in a production, everybody's freaking out. Everybody has a lot of stress. So be the person who comes up with solutions. That's always appreciated.
Yeah, and that's super constructive because, again, that supervisor or that lead might have 800 decision or 800 problem to deal with, and that's a constant. And this is why sometimes
that was 801.
Yeah, when you're in those decisions, you just get at the end of the day, just I just don't ask me what we're eating for dinner tonight. I'm out of answers for any. So if you're able to say, hey, I think that this could be improved, and here's you kind of do half of the work, and you kind of do them service.
Yeah, and you give them an out too, right? You give them an out, like, because the way you play it off, it's not like it's not a challenge at all. It's like the opposite. It's almost like you're almost laying yourself down in front of their sword and being like, what do you want to do? Do you want to you could totally just end my life, or you could just, maybe listen to what I have, my last final plea. It's not challenging
if you saw Game
at all.
of Thrones, you may not want to do that at the beginning.
I've been watching too much Game of Thrones. That's my problem. Exactly. Ned Stark did not think that one through. It's true. He did not think that one through. Sorry, spoiler alert.
I have a last one for you, Ilse, and that's because that's a topic, again, that we've been talking in many of our Q&A, which is about, recruitment and showreel in general. You had a video about making the perfect showreel, or some tips about a showreel. We've provided some of our own. What would be your tip for either students or people with junior, mid-level, senior that are making their showreel?
For feature animation, for VFX animation, for
that's actually one of the questions that we had. Just animators, let's say animators that are auto school or juniors that they have enough good material to maybe make a 1.5 minute showreel. And that's one of their questions. Should they have different showreel for different industries? So what would be your general
girly
advice?
Bits in the comments says cough, feature, cough. Okay. So feature.
Let's go with that. Let's go with
you
feature.
Win again, Girly Bits. You win again. Well played.
So well played. So what I think you gotta know what kind of animation you like. So if you're really just starting, try doing, if you have already done a fair bit of animation, walk cycles, run cycles, try to make like a little facial expression maybe, and try to do like an animal, like a creature walk cycle or a creature reacting to something, just 2 very quick little ones, and see which one you like better, right? So for example, this Girly Beats, she is saying she likes feature better. So orient your reel, well played, Girly, orient your reel towards the kind of studio you want to go to. So for example, if you are aiming to go to ILM, they're probably not gonna, feature film is coming to every single studio, but just orient your demo reel to the kind of content they produce. So for example, for feature, I would say first put your name, put your email, and leave it there for 5-6 seconds. Very high quality. You don't want pixel letters and all. That speaks a lot about you. Then keep the music to the minimum. If you can have no music at all, or just a very slow tone, jazz, simple, maybe actiony, but very quiet, so people are not like disturbed by it. Also, make sure you have variety. Recruiters want to see, in the case of feature animation, recruiters want to see you do a dialogue. They want to see your body mechanics. How good are they? They want to see different characters with different emotions. So one thing that I tell my students all the time is to grab a rig and make that same rig do different personalities. Make that same rig an old man that has like a problem walking, and then make that same rig a kid, and you will see that animation is the magic behind it. So that's something I would recommend. Go and jump from different styles, like not the same person animated everything in your demo reel. Like, wow, whoa, that's versatile. That's one thing I would recommend. Also, creatures have four-legged animals, two-legged animals, or bipeds. Have as much as you can, and different styles, so they know that you're versatile, as well as having there are different branches in the feature department. You have some things that are pretty cartoony and pretty stylized, or things that are more realistic without being mocap, right? So try to go there. Try to juggle between both. And as I was saying, body performance that's heavily driven by physics, I think would be a great idea to have in your demo. So those like 5 shots of different things, and also keep them short. I know that when we're starting, it's like, but I want to do this like super long dialogue. Doing it's gonna take you like months. So just focus your energy in doing short little things that you're actually gonna finish, and never ever ever post anything on social media without asking for a lot of eyes. Ask for as much feedback as you can. LinkedIn is awesome. So in my LinkedIn course, I can teach you how to go to like people in the industry who are high and be like, hey, I'm sorry, can you just give me a couple minutes and check my work? And people are so nice. Animators are so sweet. So they can give you great feedback. And just, do that. Never be afraid to show your work. It's always going to be complicated. And at the beginning, I know it's very challenging because you feel like your work is yourself. It's like your worth, and it's not. At the beginning, let them tear you apart. Whenever I show an animation to someone or an illustration, I tell them, shatter it, destroy me. Just tell me the worst things you could tell me. And then that gives people that opportunity to, chop your head off, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Or Ned Stark.
And it gives you a little bit more opportunity for them to be honest and true to you. And that's what you want. And reiterate as many times as you can until people say, this is perfect.
Yeah. I would say in my experience, those that I saw that were ready to expose their work and get feedback the most were the one that improved the more rapidly. So again, keep your ego in check. As you said, well said, it's not yourself. It's what it's your last work. It's not all of your work. It's just happened to be the last piece that you've done. So don't be precious about it. Get feedback about it. And
if you're lucky and if you're hardworking, in some months you're even gonna see that and be like, that was ugly, and your eye changes rapidly. So that is actually a good sign that you're making progress.
It's really a bad sign if you don't feel that way.
Yeah.
Man, that stuff's really good. I mean,
I used to be good. What happened?
Geez, getting rusty. Not that I'm speaking from experience or anything.
No. None of us are.
All right, Brent, we're already late for the Q&A. As we always are, we got carried away. Just by the way, little shout out to Sergey that just showed up in the chat. Sergey, what are you doing here? I had no idea that you were following those threads.
But yet there he is.
And here is Sergei Shitko. All right. So Brent, I don't know if you want to check a little bit in the chat what we have. I know that we already. I'm going to start with questions that we received ahead of time. So
yeah, go for it. I'll go dig up something. I saw a few come in over the chat. Go ahead.
All right. So let's start with this one. I don't know, Brent, if you have the document to put the question below. It's actually the first one from Van Animator. So I would love to hear about your experience with Patreon, the do's and don'ts, how you decided your rewards and what your backers respond to, and how much it's helping you financially. Thank you. So Patreon.
Oh, Patreon. Okay. So Patreon came up after YouTube, after I didn't want to be monetized on YouTube. After I wanted to create content that was true to people, and I wanted to build a community that could talk to each other. Because come on, you can only do so much in the YouTube comment section. So that's why I decided to build a Patreon, and it's pretty exclusive. I have like a niche of some animators, some VFX animators, some FX people, and compositors. So it's like a little ball of people who are some of them are new to the industry and some not so much. It's very fun because once a month and more often we have little discussions where we say, okay, so how to find a job, and we just talk about it, and they ask me their questions. I help them with feedback on their things. And I also have a little segment that I love to call "This is what I learned today," or I change the title sometimes, and I teach them anything I learned that day, which are shocking things about, for example, Autodesk Maya. You always are discovering something new. So in my studio, for example, we're like, oh, yo, this tool is amazing, and the leads are like, wow, that's cool. And it's so funny that that a lot of people, we don't know all the software. So every time I learn one of those things, I post it. I'm like, hey guys, just look at this. This is a new way in which you can use Maya in an intelligent way. And yeah, those are things I love. And also having guests talk there, and yeah, that's what I have my Patreon for. And the do's and don'ts, I think it's pretty free. Really understand what your audience wants. Give them value, give them as much time as you can, because those are people who are interested in you and they're already proving to be loyal. So be as nice as you can to them. They're amazing. And okay, decide your rewards. Yeah, that's basically it. So I just kind of mention my Patreon here and there sometimes, and people just fall, and it's really cool.
Patreons are really cool. Like, I mean, it was such a genius idea. Like whoever started that idea, because I mean, it came out quite a while after the YouTube revelation, and like there were a lot of people out there doing it and making it work, and the only way they could actually find a way of keeping it going was through monetization. And so a lot of people chose to actually turn off monetization, like yourself, and then just go with Patreon instead, because then that way anyone's welcome to come and check out the content. They don't have to feel like they have to, and they don't have to be subjected to well, I mean, they get ads anyways, right? Unless they pay for YouTube Premium. But basically, it's just, look, it's an open book. Come on in. It's like, I want to show everybody, but it's for those people who might have the financial means and think that your work is valuable to themselves and to the people around, like, and they want to help give back to their own community. Then they'll throw some money to the creators' ways, or so in the direction of the creators, so that more work can be made. It's the great idea behind crowdsourcing from the actual people that are watching the content was just genius. YouTube eventually rolled something into their own platform, right? You can join channels now, which are they just kind of ripped off the Patreon sort of structure, I think, by the looks of it.
And also you can do pledges where you decide how much different people, like different categories, pay.
Exactly.
And wow, I love that, because if I were a student, I mean, $5 a month, it's nothing. It's something I would be able to afford myself. And that's what I want to bring to people. It's like tips, tricks, and a little bit of these chats to people who can pay $5 a month. I would make it $2 a month, but I can't. It's 5 is the minimum. So I have like different pledges, and people who are very generous and are amazing, they just want to collaborate with more because they think the content is valuable, and I appreciate it so much. But that's the good thing, that you can have a lot of different people, students, and
totally.
This kind of content that I do is pretty much oriented for people who want to grow in their industry, in their career. So I think that's really cool to have different kind of economies working there.
Absolutely. I have a question right from chat. I'm going to drop it up right now.
Go.
This one is, hello, a question for Ilse. Ilse.
Yeah.
God, I don't like, just doesn't want to come out of my mouth.
You're doing it great.
What? Just think of the eel. Just do the eel thing.
Yeah, just the eel.
Yeah. What kind of animation do you enjoy doing the most? Lip sync, body mechanics, creatures, etc. Oh yeah, you didn't even hesitate.
Facts. It really depends on the time. I am a person who kind of varies in interests.
That makes sense.
Okay, so lip sync. I enjoy lip sync a lot when I am doing a shot that matters to me, like something deep and profound, and those hero shots where you get important truth out of a dialogue. I love doing lip sync then, because it's like, so much fun. And I have very good strategies for lip sync, so I do it fairly fast now. What are the things? Body mechanics I love. It's something you have to understand and learn and sometimes hate. Doing, either mocap cleanup or cartoony kind of body mechanics is always fun. It's always challenging. Creatures, it's so much fun. Creatures is amazing. Having aliens that are huge and like gross, and it's so much fun. Doing all the overlappy kind of things of the body, and being able to come up with the way these creatures move, because no one's dictating how they do.
No.
And being kind of the one who is creative enough to put it out there, put ideas out there. I think it's so much fun. But definitely I'm very into facial action coding system, FACS. I think it's so crazy to understand the way the muscles, the groups of muscles work, and to make realistic facial performances that are getting spooky even every day. They're even more realistic every single day. So,
it's true. It's getting a little outrageous, that's for sure.
Cinematics,
the deep fake stuff is just unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Like it's like we're all screwed. No one's gonna believe anything anymore.
No, it's gonna be crazy. I don't know that the world's gonna be.
It's not a good trend. I mean, I'm laughing, but I'm actually crying inside. It's not good for real. I have another one here for you. I'm gonna drop it in here. It's from old man Skippy. Okay, let's drop it in.
Thank you, Eric Rubio.
Oh, and by the way, I think we have Veronica that just mentioned that this might probably be my favorite conversation with stream so far. So,
and she's probably been to every single one too.
Anytime they want me back.
Don't say that on the show. Don't say that. We've been known to chase you down and make you come back.
I appreciate it, and you can come to my Patreon as well too, to talk about your experiences. You guys are amazing. We've
been through this. We're not good at. Well, I mean, I'm not good at compliments. So you can compliment David all you want. But don't keep me out of it.
Brent doesn't do compliments, but that's a great question. You work full time. You run a YouTube channel, build a brand, and judging by your social posts, get in some decent fitness time. I'd love to hear about your experience of the grind, your life philosophy, and how you manage to do all of that, of what you do, and you're missing the end, and
what the hell?
appear so happy and fresh.
That's very sweet. Well, one thing that I've gotten as an insult sometimes is like, why are you always smiling? And I'm like, well, okay.
Well, why are you always so unhappy?
So it's part of my personality ever since I was a toddler, I guess. But it all it boils down to really having a schedule, like David and I were saying, really understanding your body. For example, I know that at least right now, my body is really open to work in the mornings, but it has more energy to work out in the late evenings for some reason. I know not for everybody it's the same thing. For my mother, it's like, if I don't work out in the mornings,
It's not going to happen.
it's not going to happen. So understand your body and kind of build those things around it. Build your schedule around your productivity. So what I do is I power work 3 hours in the morning, non-distracting, just like, and then I work at my 8-hour job. And then I come out, and then I make myself, I try to give myself time for me. Just like after 5, it's me time, and I try to disconnect, like David was saying as well. And yeah, if you have a family, if you have hobbies, just keep yourself busy in those things. I cannot tell you that I don't hustle. I hustle like a maniac. Like, my family sometimes doesn't talk to me because I'm like all the time in the computer. It's true. I could tell you like I have a perfect work-life balance, but it's not true. It's not true. Like, I think anybody in the industry is a little bit like hustlers, but I'm kind of okay with it. I think Nietzsche says, if you have a strong enough why, you can bear almost anyhow. That's one of my favorite quotes.
Did you just drop Nietzsche in our stream? Did that just happen? Wow, we just went up in stock where our academia stock just went up somehow. I don't know what happened there. It was crazy.
I think that Veronica just exploded now. It just disappeared.
So I think the more we can have a goal in mind, visualize, guys, really sit down and visualize, not for the magic of the universe necessarily, but for the things that you want to accomplish. Give yourself goals and work every single day towards them. I think that's what keeps me going. And all of you guys who support me and are like, yo, you're doing a cool job. It's like, oh, thank you. It's valuable for other people. So yeah, seeing the reaction of other people is definitely priceless. I enjoy it so much.
So I have to drop this comment because it's just so funny. Highbrow suddenly 5+ charisma versus chat. Oh, girly bits.
I love when people interact. It's so funny.
But there's definitely something that you've touched at again when we spoke with the Jalil of this world that spent a decade to build a studio, and it was the same thing with Jean Denis and with Sir Wade. Their sacrifice to be made, and when you said the hustle in your family and all of that, often from the exterior you see the career, you see the social media presence, you see all of that, but at some point, all of those people, they might have stopped to play video games. They might not be watching movies as much as they used to do. They might not hang out and have a beer with their friends how much as they used to do. There might not being, and there are some sacrifice that you're okay to make, but sometimes there's stuff, like hobbies or art, like playing music or drawing, or those other things that you kind of leave on the side, but you kind of regret a little bit, but not to the point that you're like, I would change my decision, but you kind of feel that I hope that eventually I'll be able to do those things again. But that's definitely something. When you mentioned the hustle, it's to all this time that we're talking about, especially if you make sure to sleep your 8 hours a day and do the training and all that. It means that there's a lot of leisure or hobbies that you had to let go and to focus on your craft.
Yeah, totally. And if you find a strong enough goal, a goal that you really want to dedicate your life to, like right now, my goal is to become a movie director. I see Alfonso Cuarón, Guillermo del Toro, and myself standing in the Oscars, receiving an Oscar. I see myself like that. And that's what I kind of visualize and what I'm aiming towards. So I think if you have a strong enough reason to dedicate your life, let's say discipline to, then you can really thrive and you can enjoy those little pains that it brings, because yes, it does mean a lot of sacrifice.
Can I ask a personal question? Don't worry, it's not that personal.
How personal?
It's nice that you were so welcoming. So now I'm going to ask you a really awkward one. No, I'm just kidding. So when you broke down your day, you said you wake up, and by the sounds of that would be early because you said you're an early bird. And then you said so when you said 3 hours at the beginning, is that 3 hours of working out, like exercising, and then you do work? Is that what you were saying?
For me, it's 3 hours of working in whatever I want to work.
Okay, whatever you want. So it could be YouTube channel. It could be like something, a side hustle, right? But then it's the okay.
Real, because we never stop.
Okay. I thought you were saying you worked out for 3 hours in the morning. I was going to just
that would be crazy.
I felt disgusting. I felt like, honestly, I don't even belong here on this planet. I'm not allowed.
I wake up at 5 and I come down. Like as soon as I wake up, I come down and I start working. And after those hours of just nonstop concentration, then I start my 8-hour job. Then once I finish, I give myself time to exercise in the late evening. So it's around 6:30 p.m. something
very
like that.
Very specific. Okay, yeah. Not you're on a schedule or anything. Okay, yeah.
It's like at 8:30 I shower, and at 9 I'm in bed. Okay. That's my routine, and I love it like that, like super organized, because that's the only way I can make everything work. We'll see later when I decide to form a family and all how my schedule will stretch. It
won't change. It'll be perfect the same. It'll be all right. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm gonna sleep at 9 and sleep 8 hours with a
Don't listen to the haters. Yeah. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
What about the weekend, Ilse? Are you working as well?
Weekend? Okay, yeah. You're gonna get scared. No, I don't know. But so I wake up really early, and on Saturdays I often write my world space or various world spaces, and I dedicate like 4 or 5 hours to that. So it's kind of a lot of time. And then on Sundays, I wake up really early. I do my makeup if I need to, and I shoot world space as early as I can, with my lights, with my camera, my everything. And I shoot. And then I put everything together. I color grade it. I fix the volume and everything, and I send it to my editor. I send the script to my editor because he doesn't speak English so well. So I make everything as clear as I can so he can understand it. And
do you ever give him a Spanish transcript?
No, everything's in English, but it's like super well organized. So he knows exactly when the title is going to come down, it's in purple. Okay. And when this is going to happen, it's in other colors and stuff. So it's like it takes a lot of organization. And he's awesome. And I just send it over to him. And I sometimes I give mentorship on Sundays. So 1 or 2 hours of mentorship to some students, private students that I have. You can check it on Patreon if you're interested in the worldspace.net. And then I'm free. After that, I'm free.
Wow.
Yeah,
oh, yeah, sure. With all those 5 minutes
exactly.
left. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I do work on weekends. I try to make it a priority in Sundays to be free at like 12.
I don't know. I have this weird feel like I have a conflict right now. I feel like I kind of hate you a little bit and I kind of love you at the same time. I don't know what to do with those feelings.
My family.
It feels very weird.
Like you're achieving so much, but are you okay?
I would fit right into your family. They'd be like, yeah, just join the club. It's fine. Everyone feels the same. Just go over there. Along with the rest of them, those riffraff. I don't know. I'm impressed by the dedication, and obviously, I mean, it's funny because like David said, there is a trend, right? Like I think that, JD has something similar going on. He's disciplined and he's routine just because he's got stuff he wants to do. He's got things that are important. His career is important to him. He loves his job. He loves his family. He loves his community that he's built. And so the only way he can keep all those things that he loves is some things have to give. And we were making jokes all the time about his stacks. He loves video games. That's his dirty secret that he unfortunately had to sacrifice. He doesn't get to play a lot of the games. So that's it. Like, I think we should both get online one day and like just compare the stacks of games that are still in the packages back when we actually bought them in the actual, because there's a lot of like, you just can't, you buy it thinking you're going to play it. And you're just like, there's not enough time.
Yeah.
But
this is this is what is great with those conversations. Having all of those conversations with a lot of like-minded and very proactive. You kind of see what are the tendencies and all of those what some would call the overachievers, or those that produce a lot. The same constant is, as you mentioned, we know why we're doing it. We have a goal. We have a long-term vision. We have a mission. We are kind of organized with a routine, and we have resilience and grit just to persevere no matter what. I think those three traits of those three things were common in everyone that we spoke to, that feel that they are successful in many different ways in what they're doing. So that's
you're in
that's
good company, Ilse.
Discipline.
You're in good company.
I'm glad to hear that.
It is.
Discipline is a muscle, right? So flex it. Flex it as much as
very
you
true.
can. With anything, with diet, just restrict yourself. Be able to postpone
this is my
your
discipline
pleasure.
right here. This is my discipline. That's right there. Wait a minute. Hold on. It's going the wrong way. That sucks. It's 5 minutes after. I'm saying this because I do not want to I don't want to, overstay our welcome. So just so you know, did you want to add, do you have time for one more question? And then we'll let you enjoy your, whatever you're going to go and work out and probably do a triathlon after this or something. But Veronica had a question that was good. Let me just right here. This is a good one. It's related to discipline. It's related also contextually to the times we find ourselves in. Because I do, working from home has its pluses and it has its minuses. And one of those minuses we've already covered a little bit. Do you have any specific advice for people who are struggling with the schedule due to the pandemic isolation?
This is Veronica?
This is Veronica who's asking this question.
Veronica. Okay. I don't think it changes much. I think with pandemic for me, it's just I live in my.
It's what pandemic? I'm just it's I just keep going. I just keep
going.
Yeah.
But it's a good question. I think you need to prioritize going out a little bit to take fresh air. Because my mother just laughs and hates me a little bit, because sometimes I'm like, sunlight, and she's like, you vampire, because I always stay indoors, and that's not good for health. That's not good. You need some vitamin D. So prioritize going outside and talking to others, and being with the ones you love the most. I think one thing the pandemic taught me is the value that people have. Because living by yourself is a little bit more tough than what I would have expected, and I'm perfectly fine living by myself. But if you are not seeing the outside world and you are someone who's a workaholic like myself, you end up going a little bit psychotic. So it's interesting. You have to kind of balance everything out as much as you can. My best advice would be understand your body, know your levels of energy. When are you more prone to exercising, and when are you more prone to working, like sitting down and working? Also, understand what kind of things you really like, hobbies, and give yourself a goal. Have a mindset and visualize exactly what you want and go for it every single day. Just do little towards that goal, and in a month you're gonna see that you achieved way more than you were expecting.
It's good advice.
Those would be my best tips.
Baby steps, right? Always move forward.
Always.
It's funny because for me, I was kind of disciplined with the routine before the pandemic, and when the pandemic hit, I was like, "Oh God, that's not going to go well," and I became super extreme with the schedule, just to make sure that I had this rhythm. And at some point, it seemed that every week was a copy paste from the previous one, but it was a good copy paste because it was a good structure. So just put on paper what you feel would be the perfect week if you want to accomplish this, and this. And just start with week one and just try to grind through week one, and hopefully you'll make it and continue.
Totally.
Yeah. And thank you guys for the nice comments in the chat. I'm seeing everything you're saying.
Yeah, you got some fans in there for sure.
Eraser sharp. Jesus, she's so powerful. No kidding. Don't stand in her way. Just freaking Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Thank
I think they're developing a new television show. It's like something about like it's a superhero with your name or something. And it's gonna be a big hit.
No, I would love to see this everybody in my community as well, because you guys are so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
let's do it.
I'm going to end this stream really quickly with a quick little shout out, because you said you miss acting, but you have a little secret that you haven't shared, and this is a chance for you to plug it. But I may or may not have by accident ended up on your IMDb just because I had to do my homework, and it does seem like you might have been involved in a short film called Sawa. I think Sawa. Am I saying it right?
Sawa, yes.
I said it right. Finally, I said something right. That's perfect. So yes, that's due out in October. October this year. Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yes.
Cool.
He's one of my best friends. He was the director, and we did it while in Montreal, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I said it was. Yeah. It's releasing in Canada in October, so I had a feeling it was a domestic release. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, really.
So that must have been fun, because I mean, the last thing that you did in IMDb was like a number of years ago. So this must have been awesome for you to be able to kind of get back into it a little bit, because you obviously 100%. Love it, right?
Yeah. Cool. I had the problem that when I was in my university, I tried to do some modeling thing, like a modeling pageant.
Yeah.
And it was like a big deal. And then my university got really upset. I kind of asked for the permission. I'm a straight A student. Like I was, I won't.
Well, that was the deal you made with your parents, right? I was paying attention. If you didn't have the straight A's, you can.
True. And even though I had a problem with this teacher, because he did not tolerate that I did it, even though I asked for permission. And so, studying while acting was not possible anymore. Yeah, because then all the way from elementary school to high school, if I acted, it could even take like, I think the longest period that I went without going physically to school was 2 months. In those 2 months, my mother would be an angel, and she would go and get the copies from my friends of everything that they were seeing. And all my friends in the camper, when we were acting, they were just playing around and having fun. And I'd be studying. And that really helped me. That really built up, I think, my personality. And that really helped me to pursue something outside of acting as well.
It's cool. It's just nice that it's kind of coming back full circle, in a way. So it'd be nice to see you be able to continue doing that. So anyways, how will people see this when it comes out in October? Is it coming out on is it where?
Sure.
Don't know.
Okay. But I can let you guys know.
Yeah. Do it.
Go to my LinkedIn account and I can be posting it there.
Cool. Yeah. When it gets closer to release, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
It excites me. Thank you so much.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you, Ilse. It was awesome to have you on here. It was awesome to get to practice saying your name a few times, so I can now stop sound like an idiot online. That's great. If anything, that was awesome. Thank you, David, for obviously being here as usual and tolerating my goofiness. Thank you both, and thank you on behalf of the community, because it was a great chat. And thank you, community, for being here, because it's these chats would be kind of boring without you. So thank you, everybody. Big hug. All right. So good luck with your triathlon tonight, David. Go to bed. It's past your bedtime. He's also an early bird, and I'll see everybody on the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Well, another conversation with another night. It's I don't know, man. It's like David and I we always kid around like it's like the highlight of our week. It really actually is, and it's like no joke. It's just fun to be able to get people that are like-minded on here. And David was, I don't know if he was joking, but I'm seriously gonna go and check out the LinkedIn crash course that she did, because I need that one. I've always felt like deep down that LinkedIn was like there's something about it. And I find that the content on there is, obviously, because it's like, unlike Facebook, which is just everything. It's like, no, it's like, it's like that in a way, but it's so focused on what you're interested in professionally. So I'm always amazed at the amazing content that I see dropped in there. As a matter of fact, I've been scouting in there lately, finding some amazingly talented people dropping things in LinkedIn and asking if they wanted to come on a show like this. And just to kind of like a spotlight on, hey, just randomly, you look amazing and the work that you do is great. Do you want to talk about it? And I've actually tapped a couple people over the last little while, and they're like, yeah, let's do it. So LinkedIn is amazing. And it really is. It has become like this is today's resume. No one sends resumes or CVs anymore. It's like, go to my LinkedIn. Jesus, like, why do you need anything else? It's got everything and more, because you can link to demo reels, you can link to all the other things. So yeah, that's such sage advice. If you're going to do anything, at least do LinkedIn, because it starts there. And if you want to do more, and you want to build like a YouTube empire like Ilse's done, then go ahead if you have the stomach for it and the time. But at the very least, very least, step one would be probably getting that LinkedIn. It actually would shock me to find out that people don't have LinkedIn profiles at this point. So if you're one of those people, I'm sorry if it makes you feel bad for me saying that. You should probably just go and take that advice and start that. So thanks for being here as usual. We have more great content coming up next week, so please stay tuned. As always, it's always amazing to have you in chat, and yeah, have a good evening or good day, depending on where you're connecting from. Cheers.
Dun, dun, dun.